Action!
It is gnarly. It's been like a pretty physically intense film.
We just were in a real fast pace.
And we are at a point right now where everything is just on the knife's edge of being pulled together.
We've gone through a few gallons of blood in this movie already.
When it was the first time we did it, my mouth was just dropped open. I was like, holy shit, I'm in an alien movie.
Basically, in AVP2, the story picks up sort of where the first AVP ended. In our story, we follow crash landing onto Earth. Facehuggers escape from the crashed ship. They spawn some warrior aliens, and they basically become an infestation. It starts to rapidly grow and overcome Middle America's regular every working day class town.
All hell breaks loose and we don't exactly know what's going on.
The movie itself is kind of a metaphor for what if something awful happened in your hometown.
The human side of things and how it relates is definitely a big part of the film. If you look at what Alien was, it was basically truck drivers in space. I mean, it was pretty blue collar, the type of job that almost anyone can relate to. We thought, what's scarier, you know, something that takes place millions of miles from here or something that actually happen, you know, right in your own backyard.
There was a script that was written, but the hybrid didn't play as integral a role.
The original draft of Predator Alien actually died on page 3.
That was when the studio decided to go back, do some rewrites, make the hybrid a little bit more of a integral character and a great nemesis for the Predator.
Why is the Predator Alien named Chet? Because anyone ever got a leaked copy of the script, they'd never think Chet would be the Predator Alien.
They didn't want a call sheet going out. They didn't want a production notice going out. Anything that said hybrid or Predator Alien, they wanted to keep it very secretive.
As soon as I heard Chet, I immediately referred to Weird Science and Bill Paxton.
What's the name of the biggest asshole you can think of? It's Chet. Of course. A guy named Chet. That's, you know, that's the Predator Alien.
We found Ray's body in the woods. He was skinned alive.
So now you've got these various elements. You've got an unsuspecting town. We fall in love with 3 or 4 of the people in the town. They're different stories. There's 2 brothers. We have a sheriff. We have a woman who's been in Iraq who comes back to reunite with her husband and her young daughter.
We went through a lot of casting, actually, for this role. We saw a lot of great actresses, and I don't know, there's something, she had a really great internal strength that we saw.
The colonel was lying.
They don't want us to get out?
No, their job is not to protect us. Their primary job is containment.
She is a soldier that recently came back from 2 years of duty, and she actually ends up bonding with her daughter she's been so estranged from. And all the action ensues.
Boom. Yeah, it's definitely interesting directing as a team. The big advantage for Colin and I is that we get to actually use each other as sounding boards.
It is their first time directing a feature film. They've done commercials, they've done music videos, of course, but this is their first feature experience. They are not immediately of one mind, but ultimately always of one mind. But that's a great thing. They do talk back and forth between themselves.
Those differences all have to be settled in prep. You go through every scene, and from blocking to the emotional level of the actor's performance, it's really important that stuff's all figured out ahead of time.
They're like mad prepared though, and like they know their stuff, but they're like kids. They're like wide-eyed kids who are excited to be here.
The dynamic between the 2 of them, being that they're brothers, is it's fun. It's almost God, would they want me saying that they're cute?
I almost say it gives us an unfair advantage, I think, over other directors. Between me and my brother, if there's an idea that we don't like or we have a disagreement, we can actually kind of throw out like, hey, does this sound stupid, or maybe is this a better idea? It gives us kind of a level of confidence that we can go in on a solution, find the common ground, and actually come up with a better idea out of it. Whereas if you're kind of by yourself, you can lead yourself astray and there's no one to kind of reel you back.
One, action!
One of our approaches is we're doing almost everything in camera. We don't actually have a lot of visual effects in this. So, you know, when you have real creatures, real atmosphere, a lot of steam, rain, haze, fog, the hive, I mean, all of these things are real tangible elements that, you know, that our actors can interact with.
I remember the first time we did it, and we're just like, what the hell is that thing? And I'm looking at it, it was the first time I actually saw it. And I just, my mouth was just dropped open. I was like, holy shit, I'm in an alien movie.
The first time I did see the aliens and the predators, I was really kind of terrified. I'm just like so over it now. I mean, it's like just to see a big guy walking around in a suit.
It's so great as an actor to be able to actually work with people who are in these suits making it alive, that it's actually there.
We're not leaving without it.
We have to go.
You'll make it.
I think the best thing about those guys is when you work with them, you actually get them. Tom and Alec on set every day with us.
This is my 4th time in the alien suit.
Tom wore every suit we made, virtually.
He knows how it moves. He's the guy that whenever we need the hero close-ups, he's the guy that, you know, we need in the suit. And it's like he just brings life to the character.
So Tom, down in a crouch. And then stand up and look to us, and when he looks to us, maximum anger, okay? Ready and action.
It's always been this way for us since the very beginning, is our involvement in the performance. I'm in the suit, Alec is on the outside, he's always the supervising puppeteer, he's always directing our puppeteers, and I love doing it because to me it's acting.
Yes, this time the hydraulic Chet, or Pred Alien, is much more sophisticated than what we had last time. Not only is it, did someone smell Chet just recently? Can anybody smell, like burning chicken feathers? Like, you know, this is part of the problem with ADI is we don't really work together as a team.
Ian was the primary predator, and Ian had the moves down. He was really good at it. You could tell even real subtle little things that he would do that the other guys who were in the suit just couldn't do.
Well, when it's talking about Predator as a character, you're talking about varying degrees of rage, anger, and ruthlessness. I just basically you know, think about whatever scene we're doing and take it from there.
What we want to do with this is we want to bring back the grittiness. We want to make it feel a lot more real.
I think we're going to go R-rated. I think that's what the fans want. And it's, in this kind of movie, hard to hold back.
Oh, fuck yeah. We're all for R ratings. But this time around, we're definitely shooting more gore stuff, especially human gore. It's funny, alien gore doesn't really create the R rating, it's human gore. You can have as much bloodletting as possible. And the scene that we did where the predator tore the tongue out of Chet, there was Chet blood everywhere, but it didn't matter because it's yellow alien acid blood.
Yeah, we've gone through a few gallons of blood in this movie already. The belly bursters were in the first draft that Colin and I read. The main difference in our version of the movie was they had the belly bursters being actually caused by an alien warrior, and we changed, you know, around things for our pitch. We actually made it the Pred Alien that was reproducing in this fashion. Basically, a Pred Alien is kind of the baby queen. There's a phase in between warrior alien and full-blown queen. You do this thing with basically embryo implantation. And the idea with that was we're trying to figure out ways, how does a baby queen quickly form her own little mini drone army to get the hive built before she evolves into the final state where she can't completely defend herself. Most of our movie takes place in the dark, in the rain, which I'm sure you've heard about from our actors.
What you don't understand when you're watching a movie in the rain, you can't see the real rain on film. It's just something about, you know, there's only so many frames per second, it doesn't really read. So they bring in rain machines on top of the rain, and they tap it from like the fire hydrants.
But as uncomfortable as that is, like when you see it, like when I see the playback, it looks amazing. It really does.
When you start thinking along those terms, dark, wet sewers and an alien hive and all these things come to mind as instantly the places for that horror to occur. Those reflect our sort of philosophy towards the film, which is less is more. We don't want to see too much of the creatures. We're trying to always hide them in shadow, hide them in the rain, hide them behind steam.
You don't really want to light a horror film up. You don't want it too lit and too clear. You want to leave some blanks. You want to leave something to the imagination. And you got to count on the fact that your audience will fill in those blanks in a better way than you could.
One of the most important things on the film is our cinematographer, Daniel Pearl, who shot the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
They said, you know, one of the reasons we thought of you in the first place was that Ridley Scott, when he did the original Alien, said that this movie should be Texas Chainsaw Massacre in space. So that's what sent us your way.
What's great about Daniel is he can take what might be considered the mundane and make it look visually interesting.
It's just sort of stuff that just comes to me intuitively as we're shooting. Things that I know that work. I know certain angles of light will work, make it look good. I know certain camera moves will work and help, you know, create tension and build suspense.
When we start a new scene, Daniel getting a discussion, well, at this point, this is the sort of mood and it hasn't changed to anything yet, so our style will be a little cleaner. We'll maybe stay more on a dolly or a crane, and then by this point, something bad's starting to happen. Aliens are creeping in, maybe the camera's a little less steady, we'll go handheld. The compositions could be less graphic. Those help influence people's perception of the movie when they're watching it.
Why don't we just climb down from where they threw your keys? So Jesse can see me climb out covered in shit? No thanks. Wait a second, we're gonna be covered in shit?
Most everything except for the sewers is actual practical locations. The only thing we built really were the sewers and the young girl Molly's bedroom. The tunnel set is quite interesting. Andrew Niskrami, production designer, designed quite an interesting triangular setup with a couple of offshoots that were just sort of false tunnels, but appear to be complete tunnels to camera. So we're able to shoot quite a lot in something that's not actually that huge of a set. It feels a lot bigger in the film than it really is. In addition to those two, we also built the hive set.
Basically, it's all styrofoam and some epoxy, and basically they just for the last couple of weeks had just a whole team of sculptures in here, and then they started laying in huge blocks of foam on top and just starting to carve everything out.
The rooftop set is built at ground level in a massive, big abandoned parking lot with no buildings around, just trees around, so quite easy for the light to fall off and just appear like we're in darkness. As far as the fight sequences go between Alien and Alien and that kind of stuff, those are quite time-consuming, and because of safety concerns and wardrobing and just rigging. That principally photographed by second unit.
Some movies you might be able to shoot big blocks of action or big master kind of a shot, but with this one, these aliens they're a little bit complicated to work with. You've got a suit that weighs a lot, you got a guy in it that gets exhausted real quick, you've got puppeteers that are working tails and intricate little parts of it, you have some of them that work all on their own. There are a lot of elements to bring together just to make one little piece of one shot. I'll tell you what, we were under the gun every day on this movie, and I looked at what we got, and it ended up being really good.
We're trying to figure out, how do you get to the world that was alien? Especially politically and culturally, because it's interesting that, there's no mention of the government really in Alien. Everything was about the company. And we're trying to figure out, how does a company become so powerful that, some sort of dynamic had to have changed in the United States and in the world in general to get to a position for that movie to be what it was. We have the very important handing off of a piece of Predator technology, a Predator weapon, the plasma handgun. What we're kind of implying with that is that's how humans developed the technology for space travel by the first alien. That's why we're thinking with the events that actually happened in the end of this movie, we kind of see that as that logical bridge. Fuck you!